Right, so today I want to talk trash books. Not trash in a bad way, so I'm using trash to sort of describe books that don't have the kind of literary chops of something that would be on a Booker Prize list or in sort of highly regarded fiction, but the kind of books that you read as a comfort read. Really, they're written to be sort of easy and comforting and slow and at a gentle pace, and maybe have a bit of romance, and you know what you're getting into when you're buying them. These are I'm going to make two videos. This one is my good trash of the year that I've read, so things that I've really enjoyed, but that maybe don't have that kind of high value to their literature, although I think they have a real genuine place in anyone's reading challenge or joy of reading. If this is the kind of books that you like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I buy and read a lot of these kind of books because I like to relax when I read, and sometimes I like things like this that I can just shut off and enjoy, and they don't require a lot of your brain to like follow lots of convoluted storylines. You kind of know how they're going to go, and you know that they're going to have a really satisfying ending. So I'm going to start with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe for my good trash. This is a series by Laurie Gilmore. It is fitting into what I've made another video about, which I call Gilmore exploitation, or my husband christened Gilmore exploitation. So it's like pulling into that sort of joy of the Gilmore Girls series, and it's a small town. They often have things like pumpkin or cinnamon in the title, and you get a kind of meet cute of someone as like a smart girl moving into the town, falling for a kind of grumpy, gruff guy in there. This series in particular is quite good. I've read The Gingerbread Bakery and something else this year from them, and I've read another one by Harper Graham. They often have titles or names that sort of spin on the Gilmore Girls as well. I think the romance books in this kind of Gilmore exploitation type thing are actually really good if you like a sort of cozy romance read that you know is going to go a certain way. So girl moves to a small town, falls for small town guy, you know, hijinks ensue, there'll be a bit of a breakup. And these are a really nice read. They have interesting characters, they're kind of well developed. The town itself is quite nice. It comes with like a little map that tells you about it. I can imagine them being turned into like a TV series or a movie that you'd quite enjoy as well. Maybe a bit of a Hallmark Channel kind of thing, but definitely worth checking out. My second book on this list is The Prince and the Player. This is a kind of bit like the Red, White and Royal Blue thing if you watch that on Amazon Prime. So this follows a prince who moves to America to go to college. He's a European prince, and he wants to try having that normal kind of college life for a year. He gets involved with like a soccer player, and there's a bit of a romance kind of that goes with it. Again, it's like a really nice kind of cozy read. It's going to go a certain way. I like the fact that it's two men. I kind of like the idea that there are these kind of lovely books that sort of have that nice romance feel good thing for people who want to read kind of things like Heartstopper and stuff. This is a bit of like your next move up into sort of more adult fiction. But yeah, this is a lovely kind of cozy nice read as well. If you like sort of ones where you have two men, it's definitely got a nice vibe to it, and the characters again are really well done in this, and it has much more plot and characterization to it than it kind of you would think it would have. So one to check out, and definitely maybe check out her other things if you like those kind of romance books. I've not read any more by her, but she is on my list of people to go back and look at. I also, if you like romantasy, enjoyed Quicksilver this year. This follows that kind of fourth wing vibe. It's a fairy kind of book though, so no dragons involved in this one as yet. I think there is in the sequel. But in this, the girl gets pulled through a portal into fairy. She discovers she can manage the Quicksilver, which is a kind of metal, which controls the portal that they can travel through between the worlds. This makes her an alchemist and someone who's very valuable to the fairies in the world, and she gets drawn into like some political machinations. She also falls for the fairy who's kind of trying to keep her there and make her do the alchemy. The romance then kind of follows, but again, this is kind of much better than you would expect it to be in terms of romantasy. There's like a proper magic system, there's a proper world building and lore kind of around it. The characters are quite interesting, and even though he's sort of a grumpy, edgy guy, like you get in a lot of these romance books, he's not bad. You know, you can see where the heart is in him and why he's doing the things he does. And therefore, when they do fall for each other, you don't kind of object as much as you do in something like Lark, where the guy is just objectively bad. This kind of makes a lot more sense and is a lot more of an interesting read. If you do like romantasy, I think Quicksilver is worth checking out. There is a sequel as well called Brimstone that came out this year that I've just finished. I did enjoy Brimstone, but I think Quicksilver is the better one of the two, although Brimstone is probably building towards an ending. I'm wondering if it's going to be a trilogy and we'll get like a final volume coming sometime next year, hopefully. Then I've got the favourites. So I really enjoyed this. It's set in the world of ice skating. It features two young people who really, really want to go to the Olympics and win gold. They come from quite an underprivileged background, and they're sort of obsessed with each other. It took me a long time to work out, in fact I got to the end before I twigged it, that this is based on Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is one of my all-time favourite reads. It's a classic for a reason. This obviously, when you realise it and go back and look, plays on those kind of tropes and characters from Wuthering Heights. So the characters like Catherine and Heath. Don't know why I didn't work this out as I was reading it. They also get drawn into sort of training and working with these more privileged young people, and they're obviously sort of based on the Lintons. I liked the ice skating world that this is set in, like the figure skating. I thought it was a really compelling and fun read. I got really drawn into it, and once I started reading I just couldn't stop. Like, I took it with me everywhere to try and bust through. I think ice dancing and that kind of competitive ice dancing is a really interesting world anyway, so it did work well for the plot of the story. The characters and things are really interesting, and it was very believable, all the things that happened in it. So all of the sort of breakups and coming back together and different choices that people made kind of made a lot of sense in the context of that competitive sporting world. It's definitely a really interesting read, and the way it wraps it up is a little bit different to kind of Wuthering Heights as well. So she does take it and do something different with it rather than trying to make a modern retelling, which I quite liked. So yeah, this is definitely worth checking out. And then my top one is Ali Hazelwood. So I love Ali Hazelwood, and I've loved her since she started doing her books that she calls STEMinist romances that often had a female scientist falling in love with someone. That's the thing that speaks to me as a girl who studied science However, she then branched out into other things. She's got like a sporting romance. Um, there's like a YA one around chess playing, and there's a couple that are kind of paranormal romances, which is a thing that genre I've always enjoyed. The first in the series was Bride. Mate came out this year, which is like a follow up to Bride, and it features some of the characters from Bride. It follows a woman who's like part werewolf, which is quite shocking in the world. So it's like proving that they can breed with humans, and she kind of falls for an alpha werewolf who's trying to protect her. It's a very standard kind of romance novel. It's got some unique rules and things that kind of work for it being a werewolf book. Because it's Ali Hazelwood, it's really well written. The characters are really well developed, and you actually really root for them to work out. Again, like the little differences in them and the sort of problems that come along the route feel kind of believable. More than just engineered to be part of the romance, if you know what I mean. I have Ali Hazelwood as one of my shut up and take my money authors. So essentially anything she brings out I will buy and read, because I know that in that sort of romance genre she's someone that I'm going to really enjoy, because she always has the characters on point, the plot's always really good, and she always does something interesting with it. So I think she takes like the tropes of romance and does something interesting. So these are like an interesting twist on paranormal romances, of those kind of like alpha werewolf meeting a woman and falling in love kind of stories that there was a lot of. She's sort of done a clever twist on them. I like the ones with the female scientist kind of falling in love as well. I thought they were very good. So she always has something interesting to say, I think, in her books, but they're also a good, easy, like fun romance read. So this is my top 5 kind of trashy romance, trashy fiction books. A lot of them are romance, that I would heartily recommend. So if you do like a romance read, I think check out any of these on the list. They're all really good, and I find it really hard to make this list down to 5 because there are quite a lot of other things I'd read this year that could have just edged into it. So I would strongly recommend going to check out all 5 of these. Anything by Ali Hazelwood, but any of the others as well. If you've got thoughts on Gilmore exploitation, do let me know, because I do think that's the thing. So drop a comment if you agree, and I'll follow up with like the 5 kind of books I read that were trashy that I was hoping would be good fun, but were maybe not as good.